Hi everyone, this is the first video of a series of videos done by TCS Online in lieu of the upcoming strategic case study sessions happening in November 2021 and February 2022. This video is dedicated to analyze the introduction to Pixlwizz, the company on which the case study is based, and there would be another 3 videos. And in the second video, I will be taking you through the internal dynamics of the considered company Pixlwizz. The third video will be dedicated towards going through the industry dynamics as per the information provided in the pre-scene. And in the fourth video, we will be looking at the financial, I will be carrying out a financial analysis based on Pixlwizz as well as Pantene, our closest competitor. And note that these pre-scene analysis videos are carried out based on the annotated pre-scene prepared by myself, and you can access this annotated pre-scene via our website, which is www.studyatTCS.com under the free product category. Having said that, let's move on with the pre-scene analysis. So first things first, let's look at what this company is about. The name of the company, which is considered for this time's strategic case study, is Pixlwizz, which is a quoted company that creates and sells video games. So we are considering about the video gaming industry in this time's case study. So since our company is a quoted company, we can evaluate these facts. We can look at the pros and cons of a company being a quoted company. Pros being us being exposed to increased reputation, because as a quoted company, when compared to another type of limited liability company, a quoted company has a higher level of reputation, and quoted companies usually have great access to capital as well. So why would quoted companies have great access to capital? Because of their reputation as well as the higher level of professionalism. Then looking at the cons, there would be a multitude of compliance requirements, especially faced by a quoted company, because you need to adhere to stringent laws of the country as well as stringent laws put forward by the Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, of the chosen country. And there is shareholder pressure. As a quoted company, Pixlwizz would be exposed to a high level of shareholder pressure as well. And Pixlwizz generates revenue streams from its games in several different ways. So the examiner is giving us a hint about the company handling a portfolio of products. So BCG matrix can be tested, which falls under E3. Then if I talk about the role which you're supposed to play, you are supposed to be the senior manager in Pixlwizz's finance function. So as the senior manager, you should be involved with providing strategic focus to the company, thereby being involved with long-term decision making. You are supposed to deal with the board directly, and you are supposed to understand the wider commercial context. So you need to have a good understanding about what happens within each and every department of Pixlwizz. And on top of that, when being involved with decision making, you have to make sure that you come up with decisions which makes financial sense, and you are supposed to actively provide leadership as the senior manager within the finance function of Pixlwizz. Then looking at the macro dynamics of the chosen company, Pixlwizz is based in Westland, a developed country that has an active and well-regulated stock exchange. And the currency which this country uses is $. Okay, so from that, what we can figure out is we are in a heavily regulated market, because we are part and parcel of an active and a well-regulated stock exchange. So since the stock exchange is active and well regulated, we are exposed to heavy regulations. And we can assume that there are positive macro factors in place as well, because we are Westland is a developed country, and on top of that, Westland has a well regulated stock exchange, which exposes us to positive macro factors. And on top of that, since we are part and parcel of a well regulated stock exchange, we have to comply with corporate governance regulations, as well as we have to conduct our business in an ethical manner. Okay, so having gone through the initial 3 paragraphs of your pre-scene, let's move into a general analysis about Pixlwizz. All right, so let's try to figure out the history as well as the current operations of Pixlwizz. So Pixlwizz was founded in 1986. The founders were keen to establish themselves as game developers, and the company is one of the world's leading game developers. Okay, so from these facts, these are the things which we can figure out. The business has been in existence for the past 35 years. Since we had been in operation for the past 35 years, we can assume that the company has significant industry exposure, and this is a long-standing company in a relatively new industry. Why am I saying that this is a relatively new industry? Because the gaming industry bloomed in the early 1980s with improvements in technology as well as internet. So as I told you earlier, this industry came into place in the early 1980s, and Pixlwizz commenced its operations in 1986. So that's why I'm saying that this is a long-standing company in a relatively new industry. And since the founders were keen to exploit the opportunities offered by a new industry in the 1980s, I can assume that the strategy adopted by the company is freewheeling opportunism, where they try to exploit an opportunity which was there in the market. And at the moment, the company is one of the world's leading game developers. So we can assume that the company Pixlwizz is a global market leader, which exposes us to increased reputation, which is extremely good for us. And with this reputation, we are exposed to increased market share as well, and we have significant potential for increased profits as well as market growth in the future as well. Pixlwizz offers a range of games for all major hardware types and across major game types. So this gives us a hint about the type of stakeholders we are dealing with at the moment. So our games work across major hardware types. I will be talking about what these hardware types are later on when carrying out the industry analysis. I will be talking about these things in the third video. So our games work across major hardware types and across major game types. So by looking at that point, what I can evaluate or suggest is, since we are operating across multiple, it appears that we are operating across multiple customer segments, and we are working with well-established stakeholders, which can be considered as key players. You would figure out why these hardware manufacturing companies are considered as key players later on when we proceed with this pre-scene analysis. And the company is offering leading games at the moment, and one of these games is Cratchy Swan MMO. You would understand what an MMO is later on when I'm doing the industry analysis. And Cratchy Swan MMO has more than 300 million registered players worldwide. So we have a significant customer base. 300 million offers us exponential growth opportunities. So that's a huge market in which we are operating at the moment. And on average, over the past year, there has been an average of 800,000 players online and playing the game at any given time. So last year, 800,000 players had been playing this game online. Okay. So by looking at this, we can see that Cratchit Swan MMO is a star, falls under the star category according to the BCG matrix, because it is generating a significant revenues, and it has potential to generate significant revenues in the future as well. Why? Because it is used by 300 million registered players, and last year itself 800,000 players played this game online. Pixlwizz has 5,100 employees, half of whom are based in the company's head office in Westlands Media City. The remainder are based in the company's 3 overseas offices. All right. So by looking at this point, we can see that Pixlwizz is a multinational company. The head office is based in Westland. However, we are operating in 3 other overseas offices as well. And on top of that, what I can suggest is we have a significant amount of employees, which amounts to 5,100 individuals. So given that international presence, we are exposed to certain risks which are covered in P3 and F3 related areas. We are exposed to legal risks because different countries can have different types of legal settings and regulations. We are exposed to country risks because we are operating with 3 more in overseas officers, and we are exposed to foreign exchange risk as well. So these 3 areas or these type of risks which are driven by our international presence will definitely be tested in your exam. These type of questions had repeatedly appeared on the past exam variants, and I have included questions related to these areas in the mock exams, which I myself had prepared for the upcoming strategic case study. All right, so by looking at this diagram, we can gain an in-depth insight into the company operations. So in order to make your life easier, I've come up with a summary focusing on the main points with regards to how we handle operations in multiple countries. So in Westland, we are handling overall administration, and Westland's operations are dedicated towards PC-based game development, and the Westland office or the head office handles global as well as local marketing. So when handling marketing, both in Westland as well as the 3 overseas offices, the marketing strategies are developed within our head office, as well as the Westland office looks into local marketing. Then looking at what happens within the country Estland, our office in Estland, Estland office handles mobile game development, and they carry out their own local marketing as well, which is extremely good, because when carrying out marketing, it is of utmost importance that we understand the dynamics within the local market. Then looking at what happens within the overseas office in Southland, Southland office handles console-based game development, and they do their own local marketing again as well. And when looking at the Northland office, it's dedicated towards carrying out research and development, because it's of utmost importance that as a game developer, we carry out research and development. You would understand why we need to spend a lot of money on research and development after going through the 3rd video, where I'll be taking you through the industry dynamics. So if I give you a hint about why we need to spend money on research and development, this industry is highly volatile, because the entire industry is based on innovation. So in order to be seen as a digital disruptor as well as an innovator, it's of utmost importance that we spend money on research and development. So carrying out an overall analysis, and in Northland, they handle their local marketing as well. So carrying out an overall analysis, we are exposed to regulatory risks since we are operating in 3 different countries. All right, so let's move forward with the pre-scene analysis. Pixlwizz was founded in Westland, and the head office is handling administrative functions, as I told you earlier, and it is focused on development of PC-based video games. Okay, the 3 overseas offices were acquired individually. Okay, so the examiner gives us a hint about how the company has pursued its growth initiatives or expansion initiatives. So the company has stuck to growth through acquisition. The company has pursued growth through acquisition, which is actually a faster form of growth. However, it exposes us to a multitude of risks, and it appears that the company has managed these risks appropriately. So this is an aggressive growth strategy, and this type of a strategy enables us to tap into new markets fast. And when doing that, when pursuing this type of a strategy, which is also known as inorganic growth, cultural alignment is key. So on top of all these points, you might see a question or a scenario in your real exam where the company, with the intention of further expanding their operations, tries to purchase or acquire another company, sticking to the inorganic growth strategies we had stuck to in the past. Okay, so please go through business valuations under F3. Okay, because definitely when acquiring another company, there could be a question on business valuations, and I've seen questions in the past variants, and when preparing the mocks, I've included certain questions which are based on business valuations as well. And ethics should be considered when acquiring new businesses, which leads to increased market dominance, because when acquiring a company, according to the law in UK, if a certain company has more than 25% market share, then it is considered as a monopoly. Likewise, when dealing or when acquiring companies in other European countries, we have to be considerate about these regulations on mergers and acquisitions. So we have to make sure that we carry out these acquisitions in an ethical manner. So an E3 related area can be tested in here, and I've prepared a question covering this area as well. All right, so when looking at what happens within the Northland office, it's handling research and development. And since they are handling research and development, we are exposed to intellectual property risk, because all our intellectual property relies on what happens within our research and development functions within the Northland office. So we have to make sure that we uphold or we get rid of this intellectual property risk, or prevent this intellectual property risk, which falls under P3. And I've prepared a question covering this area in the mock exams. Then at the head office, certain activities are carried out. I highlighted these areas earlier. Because of that, I'm not going to repeat myself. All sales are managed by global marketing. So we can see centralized sales function, which is actually good, because it promotes better controls. It's better to control sales from one single location, and there's a unity of command as well. And use of big data is key. So no indication has been given about the usage of big data by the company. So I'm just giving out my thoughts about the benefits which a company like Pixlwizz can gain by investing on big data and carrying out search engine optimization or SEO. And we need to be aware of cultural differences. It's good to have a centralized sales function. However, we need to have a good understanding about the cultural differences of our overseas offices. Each of the 4 offices is the base for regional marketing function, which is actually good. All right. And in these regional marketing functions, they try to study local trends, and there are regional marketing managers who can also recommend ways to adapt to advertising and other forms of promotional activity. So although sales and marketing is centrally controlled, we can see some type of decentralization or participation in a regional context, which is actually good because it increases the efficiency of our marketing. All 4 offices are located in countries that have strong video game markets, which is actually good because it offers a significant potential for sales. And focus groups and panel discussions are carried out to identify the local tastes and preferences. So this is extremely good. The company is handling its marketing as well as sales appropriately. The company has taken appropriate steps to figure out what happens within these markets. So we can see that the company is pursuing globalization, carrying out their global operations, taking into consideration local tastes and preferences, hence the term globalization. So that's all good. And Pixlwizz enjoys strong sales around the world and has many successful titles. Okay. Pixlwizz cannot predict the popularity of new games or the longevity of existing titles. So this is a problem which exposes us to uncertainty in revenues. I've highlighted that point in here because Pixlwizz as a company is not too sure about the longevity of existing titles. So we are not sure whether our existing games will be in demand in the future or whether the demand for it drops, because as I told you earlier, the industry dynamics are such that this is extremely competitive. The gaming industry is extremely competitive, and the industry dynamics are always changing because of high levels of innovation, mainly driven by the major players in the industry. Okay, you would understand about these things better when you go through my 3rd video, which is dedicated towards carrying out an industry analysis. Okay, so uncertainty in revenues. Because of that, we need to follow industry trends closely to make sure that we provide or we address the needs of customers on a timely basis. Constant change is common in the industry. Because of that, in order to excel in this type of an industry, we need to be an innovator, or we need to be considered as a disruptor. We need to disrupt things within the industry. If we can successfully do it, then definitely customers would keep using our products. Strategic method which we can pursue is freewheeling opportunism. So our founders, I assume that our founders used freewheeling opportunism. So we have to pursue the same strategy in order to be competitive in such a dynamic industry. And disruption drives competitive advantage within this industry. Okay. And mention has been made about gaming franchises. Okay, so when you look at gaming franchises, if I give you a real life example, something like Need for Speed NFS, it was introduced to the market in the early 1990s, and still they keep on coming up with new games under the same brand name, but games which are much more complex than what it used to be in the 1990s. So these are known as franchise games. Okay, and Pixlwizz owns certain gaming franchises, which is actually good for revenue generation. So these franchises can be considered to be cash cows under the BCG matrix, and increases these type of franchise games, increases longevity of games, and therefore cash flow. So we need to focus on increasing the longevity of these games, thereby increasing our cash flows. So in order to do that, innovation is key, because we need to fix the glitches as well as come up with regular updates to keep the customers happy with our games, with our franchise-based games. And these franchise-based games drives higher levels of customer loyalty. Okay. And so as I told you earlier, in these franchise-based games, the company focuses on coming up with sequels to a successful original. Okay. Developers have discovered that it is often more effective to modify and enhance a popular game with additional features than to create a completely new game. Yes. Why are we saying that? Because in order to create a totally new game, we have to carry out market research, we have to do testing, we have to, figure out what the market wants, whether what we are offering is in line with the needs of the market. So all these costs are there. So all these costs can be avoided if we can use these franchise games and keep on producing sequels by providing additional features. Why? Because it leads to lower operational costs, and these franchise based games are a highly profitable category. Okay. And the board constantly reviews Pixelwizz's digital strategy to ensure that digital opportunities are identified and exploited in order to increase its competitive advantage. So we can see that the competitive advantage is driven by innovation, and this further justifies my evaluation that the company is pursuing freewheeling opportunism, because we are trying to achieve competitive advantage by exploiting opportunities out there in the industry. All right, so looking at another type of a game, or the most successful game of Pixlwizz, the name of it is Jacob Plunge. Expect this to appear in your real exam. Okay, so the most successful game is Jacob Plunge, which is a console-based action game which was launched in 2016. In 2017, Pixlwizz launched a PC version of it, and new versions of the game had been launched every year since 2018. The latest version, Jacob Plunge Moonstar, is presently Pixelwizz's biggest single source of revenue. So you can see that Jacob Plunge, which was launched in 2016, was relaunched in multiple categories, and it is still the single largest source of revenue for the company. The different versions of Jacob Plunge contribute 19% of contribute towards 19% of Pixelwizz's revenue. So this is a major revenue generator for the company. Most of Pixelwizz's revenues is from games that are downloaded or accessed through the internet on a pay-to-play basis. So our customers are sticking to console-based gaming, PC-based gaming, as well as internet-based gaming. That's what we can figure out. You would understand about what these PC-based, console-based, and internet-based game, as well as cloud-based gaming are, by referring to our third video, where I will be taking you through the industry dynamics. Games for consoles and handheld consoles are generally downloaded from the console manufacturer's website, which they host on a cloud. Okay. So this exposes us to a multitude of risks which fall under P3. Games for consoles and handheld consoles are generally downloaded from the console manufacturer's website, which they host on a cloud. So what this point tells us is the console manufacturers, you would understand who console manufacturers are later on by referring to video number 3. So console manufacturers had given the opportunity to our customers to log into their website and play our game. So our game is played by our customers through a third party's website, and these servers are hosted on a cloud, which exposes us to significant risks. Console manufacturers' issues affect our reputation. Let's assume there's a data breach experienced by the console manufacturer, and because of that, our customers' personal information is shared between third parties. Then that leads to reputational as well as operational risks, which will be experienced by Pixlwizz, not the console manufacturer. Okay, so that's a major issue, and I've come up with a question covering this area, because this point can be definitely tested in your real exam. And we are using cloud hosting provided by the console manufacturer. Customer data is shared with console manufacturer, which exposes us to data risk again. So we are sharing our customer information with the console manufacturer via their cloud, and if there is a data breach concern in the cloud, then that exposes us to data risk. The console manufacturer collect any payments for gameplay or for in-game purchases and remit that to Pixlwizz after deducting a commission for providing this service. Okay, so This shows us that the console manufacturer has access to the credit card details of our customers, because they are handling payments. They would, keep their commission and remit the remaining money to us. So if by any chance the console manufacturer's cloud is breached, then our it would mean that there is a data breach, which affects us as well, because our customers credit card details will be shared with third parties. So this is a major area which can be tested, as I told you earlier. Pixlwizz has its own website for games downloaded to or accessed on PCs, laptops, smartphones, and tablets. All payments are made directly to Pixlwizz through the website. Although the website itself is hosted by Cloudbo, a quoted company that provides internet services to commercial customers. So we are using another third party which is named as Cloudbo when dealing with our own server related services. So our website is hosted by Cloudbo, a quoted company, which is good. It's better to deal with a quoted company because they have a higher level of reputation as well as professionalism when compared to another company. So Cloudbo is a connected stakeholder. Over reliance on Cloudbo exposes us to significant operational reputational risks, which fall under P3. Yes, definitely. Then Pixlwizz continues to sell games on physical media such as cartridges for consoles and DVD-ROM for PCs. These are manufactured and packaged by third-party specialists in Westland. So we are looking at physical media on which our customers can play our games. You would gather an understanding about these things by referring to our third video, which is dedicated towards carrying out an industry analysis. Demand for physical media is weak in most developed countries, but there is a viable demand for boxed games from countries where internet access is slow and unreliable. So according to the BCG matrix, in the developed countries, these physical media, which are used by our customers to play games on, are considered to fall under the dog category. But in developing countries, because of internet related issues, still consumers are playing their games on PCs as well as physical media. So we can consider it to be falling under the problem child category or the question mark category. Why does it fall under the problem child or the question mark category? Because we are uncertain about what will happen in the future, because in these developing countries, if internet technology improves, then the demand for physical media based gaming would drop significantly. So we need to keep a close eye on these type of games which are provided over physical media in developing countries. All right, so having said that, it brings us to the end of the first video, where we looked into the internal, we looked into an introduction about the company, which is Pixlwizz. I hope that you would go through the remaining 3 videos as well. Let me remind you about the remaining 3 videos and what it covers. The second video would cover the internal dynamics of the company. The third video would be dedicated towards carrying out an industry analysis. And the fourth video would cover the financial analysis focused on Pixlwizz and our closest competitor, Prantain. So thank you very much for joining in. I expect you to go through the other 3 videos as well. Thanks again.